Jim Bolger isn't just a classic winning trainer. He's a classic winning owner, a classic winning breeder. Indeed, he's a classic winning owner breeder trainer. He's a somewhat mystical figure, a deeply religious man who in the racing world could be considered godlike.
Saint-Germain's going to storm away with the Irish Derby. Saint-Germain was second and Epsom is putting 6, 7, 8, 10 lengths between him and Dr. Nebius and contested Maiden at the line. Saint-Germain has won it. Dr. Nebius is second.
Alexandra Gold run in front. Bullish Luck driving hard. They come to the wire. Bullish Luck drives, missed. Alexandra Gold run held on to win by a head.
And Teofilo's a couple of lengths in front. Holy Roman Emperor has a battle on. He's got 2.5 lengths to make up. Teofilo's going to keep his unbeaten record in tremendous style for Kevin Manning and Jim Bolger. New approach, multi-dimensional Moores Wells Traffic Guard putting in an effort on the outside, but it's New Approach from Traffic Guard as they race up towards the finish. It's New Approach and Kevin Manning is going to win the Tattersalls Millions Champion Stakes.
Jim, should I be nervous about this interview?
I don't know of any reason why you should be worried, or even concerned, or even apprehensive.
I'm slightly concerned because didn't the BBC once come here and you were explaining about your first winner at Roscommon, and then you suggested that you celebrated that winner by going and getting absolutely smashed and also popping into a cop shop and chucking a few things in before doing a runner?
Well, that was a joke, and it was taken as being a little bit serious, so it was just one of those things.
But that's the thing with you, Jim Bolger. You're never quite sure what you're going to come out with.
Well, he should have known anyway that I never had an empty bottle in my hand in my life. So if he asked a question like that, it was his problem.
Let's try and find a little bit more about you. No drink. Is that fair?
No alcoholic drink.
No alcoholic drink. Yeah. A lot of going to mass?
I'm a card-carrying Catholic and I go to mass regularly and definitely every Sunday.
Are you a hard taskmaster? There are all sorts of stories out there in the big wide world, Jim, about what may or may not have happened, perhaps more in the past than now. Let's just say a member of the staff hears you coming along. Would they grab the shovel straight away for fear that they weren't working?
Well, we don't use shovels very much, but I wouldn't see any reason why they would. You know, I'd expect them to have the tool before I get there in the first place. So if they were leaving it until they heard me come, that's their problem.
We've established no drink, but no smoking as well. A lad is caught by you smoking or drinking. The repercussions of that are what?
Well, I wouldn't catch them drinking anyway, because that definitely wouldn't happen. I haven't seen anybody smoking about the place since 1983. It's been a smoke-free zone since then. When we moved here at the back end of '82, I had about 6 smokers on the staff. So I told them in April that any of them that were clean at Christmas, I'd give them 500 quid each. So I had to pay 4 of them and the other 2 left. And we've been smoke-free since then. And more than that, a few of those are still with me, and they are very grateful that I encouraged them to give up the cigarettes. And they're now the parents of 3 or 4 children each, and are very happy to be non-smokers.
So the theory has worked with them. What about Sunday mornings? In the past, did you line staff up and take them down to mass yourself? No, that's a myth. I have an idea who, I think it was Paul Carberry, started that first. I used to go to mass, always go to mass for Lent, the 40 days of Lent. And I was going down one morning and I knew one of my staff, his father was dying with cancer. And I thought to myself, well, maybe he'd like to go to mass to say a prayer for his dad. So I put a notice up in the tack room the next morning that anybody who wanted to go to mass for Lent,
was very welcome to do it, and I'd arranged to have a skeleton staff in the yard. So that was what happened, but they all turned up for Mass anyway, including Paul Carberry, but there was no pressure on them to go to Mass, but they just went anyway.
New approach in front now from Rio de la Plata on the near side, inside the last 150 yards. There's no stopping the Cool Cullen team. It's another big one for Jim Bolger and Kevin Manny. New approach keeps his unbeaten record. New approach, multi-dimensional Moore's Wells traffic guard putting in an effort on the outside, but it's new approach from traffic guard as they race up towards the finish. It's new approach, and Kevin Manny is going to win the Tattersalls Millions Champion Stakes by less than a length.
And in 2008, New Approach wins the Epsom Derby. Did you have a little wry smile on your face after that race? Had you just taken the mick out of all of us? Tell us, Jim, tell us the truth.
No, the truth is, as was told at the time, you're asking me now to go back 3 or 4 years, whatever it was, but no, everything that I said at that time was on the level, and there was nothing added, nothing taken away, and it was a late decision.
So the horse originally was going to run in the 2 Guineas in the Irish Derby.
That was it.
You left him in the Derby, you said by mistake.
Yes, yeah, I didn't do the forfeit.
Yeah.
Or I missed it.
And then you said he...
It was fortuitous.
Yeah. And then he won the Derby.
Yes.
Did you smile at all in the press conferences, though? Did you? Because I
enjoyed the press conference because there were 3 or 4 journalists who were seemed to be very irate about it. And but I think they've gotten over it since.
But the reason I say I think there might have been a little smile on your face is because although you're non-drinking and non-smoking and a deeply religious man, not that that would affect your sense of humour, but there's a little bit of a mischievous nature about you, isn't there? There is, isn't there? You...
No, not really. I was amused at the indignity, I'm not sure if that's the right word or not, on the part of certain journalists, but you know, it was no more than amusement on my part.
Are you an entrepreneur who became a trainer, or a trainer who was an entrepreneur?
I don't think I was ever an entrepreneur. I mean, it's been well documented that when I started training, my only ambition was that I'd be able to support my family and stay in the business. I didn't want to go back to work in an office or anything like that. And so my sole ambition was to succeed to a level where I could stay in business.
But Jim, not everyone can go from working in an office to doing what you did. How did you manage that process?
Well,
this is back in the late, what, 70s?
76, yeah. I wouldn't say that it was all that difficult. I did have to work hard. I worked about 18 hours a day. And I was very fortunate in the beginning anyway that the handful of horses that I started out with, they all won races, and things began to happen fairly quickly. I got my licence in the mid-76, and I had 4 winners, including an away double. The same year I had a winner at the Curran and another winner at Clonmel. And the following year then I had 18 horses throughout the year, and we had 22 winners, and the year after that I think it was 32, and then it went to 44, and it kept on the increase then up to 1985 when we had a virus, and I think we dropped back to about 40 winners, and then it picked up from there again and has kept going reasonably well since then.
In 79 though, when the Pope came along, racing ended in, what was it, Phoenix Park?
Yes.
And you moved. I mean, first of all, how did you even find the place that you're at now? I mean, it's not somewhere that you stumble on.
I was told by a friend of mine that it was for sale, and he thought maybe I should have a look at it. And we had a bad day at the Curra one day, no winner, and it was the middle of the summer of 81. and Jackie and I drove down. We had difficulty finding the place, but eventually we found it anyway. And I drove in the avenue, or we drove in the avenue, and I said to Jackie, I said, I don't care whether this suits or not. I said, we'll buy it. Because at that stage we'd looked at 42 places. This was the 42nd. So anyway, we had a look at the house first, and all was well there, even though it was built in 1760. It was in good condition. And then I went out to see if I could accommodate the gallop with an uphill climb on it. And we just about managed to do that.
How would you describe your training methods? We'll come on to science in a minute, but away from science, the training of a racehorse, you're known for having a very stiff climb of a gallop.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be all that much different to the way most people train them, but you know, there are various ways that trainers can use their gallops, and the main thing is to get to know the gallops and to get to know what works on them. And then what works best, that's what you do. And even when things get a little bit slack and you're not having the winners, don't change anything. You know, stick with it. It'll come back again. You know. So no, I don't think I do things very differently to most trainers, except that I'd be big into fitness, and I think we won a lot of races in the early years by having a fitness edge, but between Martin Pipe and myself here in Ireland, I think things levelled out, and fitness-wise, other trainers got into that as well, and the fitness edge is long gone now. Most trainers have their horses very fit, and it doesn't give you an edge nowadays, but you need to have them fit to win races.
Being pressed by Saburo on the outside. Highland Falcon moves into third inside the last 150 yards now, and stops with Saburo running on the outside as they run up towards the finish. And Saburo and Kevin Manning is going to win the opening 2-year-old race for the third year in a row for Jim Bolger. And racing now inside the last 200 on the far side, Master Speaker, Caesarea right on the near rail. They're a couple of lengths clear of Late Rosebud, and racing inside the last 150 now. Master Speaker repressed by Caesarea, head to head as they go to the line. Caesarea on the near side. Kevin Manning and Master Speaker Joseph O'Brien put it up to the judge. Wren's Nest in the lead now from Yellow Rosebud as they run up towards the final 150. Wren's Nest on the far side from Yellow Rosebud. The Sten side, they're racing up towards the finish, and Wren's Nest going to be another one for Jim Bolger. 3 so far. Alpinist Lake District, P.A. Mondrian in between them, and they're followed by Silver Lightning, and now on the near side, Alpinist and Kevin Manning just getting the better of in second place Lake District, but running on strongly is Silver Lightning as they run up to the finish, and Alpinist and Kevin Manning just going to last it out. A big 4-timer for Kevin Manning and Jim Bolger.
You say it doesn't give you an edge, but I would say to you, Jim, it clearly does. You only have to look at the start of the Irish flat season in 2013 to show that.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen every year. It just might be that some of my competitors are a little bit slower out of the blocks this year. But
so you were fitter?
They'll possibly, but you know, they'll catch up, and maybe next year we'll be back to where we have been in previous years.
We sort of pandered around your methods, and obviously you're not going to give me every secret, are you? No, probably not. In this conversation.
There are no secrets. I mean,
well, there'll be something you do, Jim, that's different. I mean, presumably what you're saying is, like Martin, Martin's got quite a stiff climb at Pond House, interval training, but on the fitness side, Martin's got his laboratory and all the blood testing. I mean, is that the kind of thing you're into as well?
Well, Martin came here to see our setup, and I think he was impressed with what he saw at the time.
You're not telling me Pipe stole all your ideas?
Well, I had a lab before he had one. So anyway, yeah, it's a big help. The only reason that we established our own lab was because you could send away a blood sample and you wouldn't have a result for 2 days. And now we can have a result in a little more than 2 minutes. So obviously it was the right thing to do. So we did that back in 1985, and you know, we have a bank of information now that was built up over the years. One thing that became very obvious to us in the early days was that if a horse's PCV was less than 35, he was unlikely to win. So, you know, for the last...
PCV?
Pack cell volume, it's the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. I'm
pleased I asked that, because I had no idea what PCV is.
Well, I'd say yours is normal, you look good. You don't... Well, we weren't winning any races with horses with a PCV less than 35, so, you know, for the last 20 years or so, we don't run them then. You know, they have to be over 35.
You would never want...
so that was one of the biggest things. So you pick up infection then as well. But the blood sample is not the be-all and the end-all. Sometimes you mightn't be 100% happy with it and you take a chance and everything works. But it's a fair indicator.